UNAM, to be fair, established team for a very long time from the very beginning, and it just means there's more work to do. Of course, 77-point deficit is something you don't always want to deal with. And looking at some of the results from the reserves game, starting with Dolphin Sport Club reserves, they had 7 and they fell to FNB UNAM reserves 42, another big scoring game. Western Suburbs reserves 10 and Wanderers reserves got the best of them at 45 points in that rugby game. FNB Kudus, we showed this one on our Erongo page. FNB Kudus reserves 39, Trusco United reserves 7. So strong outing there for FNB Kudus. Trusco United hoping for a much better outing. And this is the game that we showed. Grootfontein reserves 20, Rehoboth reserves 36. In this game, Manfred Karoeb had 3 tries and 3 conversions. Let's have a look at the highlights.
Shaquille Januari, is die loskakel, Garouep en Ashipala daar, waar die manne is op die center, Sawanga en Govasep, agter die laaste vesting daar is Romal en Brand, ook die reserves daar op regterkant, vinnig Kutsie, Kloete, Anderson, Van Wyk, Bekes, Govasep en dan nog 'n Van Wyk daar, in die span van die besoekers, en hier is by Grootfontein dan, hulle eerste span, bekende name daar, ja, Reserve Liga ook. Rian Potgieter hy voer die span aan saam met Kutsie en Garcia in die eerste ry daar van die skram. Luttig en Wessels. Pieter Luttig is die broer van Johan Luttig. Ian en Zian is die 2 manne wat sy name so mooi rym op die flanke. Sario Gwanga sak op 8ste man. Christopher Dek, Jan Breed los skakel en skram skakel. Piet Darmse en Guillermo Jaas, hulle is die 2 centers daar. En het ook vinnig vir jou daar so die agterste vesting. Roland Dek, hy is die heel agter vir die Grootfontein se tweede span. En daar draf die manne nou op as die rooi truie met so 'n bietjie swart by vir ekstra kleur van Rehoboth se rugby klub. Daar net suid van Windhoek wat hulle gereis het hiernatoe, hele klompie 100 km. En dan sal die tuisspan van Grootfontein nou uitdraf. En daar kom hulle aangelei daar. Harin Garcia wat daar eerste uitgedraf het. Ek wonder of hy dalk 'n wedstryd mylpaal hier behaal het, Andrew. Ons sal later probeer uitvind en dan manne, spanne wat nou kringetjies maak, daar is Rehoboth. Openlig stadion daar aan die oorkant van die hoofpaviljoen, lekker groot bome en braaiplek. Andrew, ek dink as ouens nog nooit kom rugby kyk het op Grootfontein nie, kan jy gerus so 'n naweekie daarvan maak, jy weet, so van Otjiwarongo of Tsumeb of Windhoek 'n bietjie hier kom kuier en die rugby kom kyk Saterdag, nê?
Ja, ek dink is my persoonlike derde besoekie so aan hulle veld.
Word neergetrek. Beskerm die bal daar, Dek wat hom weer uithaal, kom hier na die diskant toe. Duikwerk is op hierdie stadium nog daar, Dek stoot hom terug, sit hom op die grond neer. Weer vasgemaak deur Grootfontein, die net buite kwartgebied nou van Rehoboth Rugby Club, waar die arm weer opgaan van meneer Ethan Farmer. Ons kyk, gaan hulle pale toeskop, dis wat hulle gaan maak, hulle wil vroeg die punte kry hier in hierdie wedstryd. Telbord aan die rol begin kry. Ja, as die manne langs die kant van Grootfontein gesels daar oor hulle planne. PJ Rasmus, afrigter van Grootfontein, sy tweede span. Hulle gaan vroeg pale toeskop nou met Ronald Dek. Sy broer Christopher wat skramskakel speel. Miles Mudabeti, hy is die man wat die skoptorenkie daar opgedraai het. Hy staan by om te kyk. Kom ons kyk wat gaan maak Ronald Dek. Nie 'n moeilike skop nie, redelik voor die pale. Lank wat hy wag, maksimum tyd gebruik en hier kom Ronald Dek nou. Man, hy's oor Chupa streek van Namibië. Nou is dit 'n slagtyd vir Rehoboth om in te gooi. Hulle eerste lyn staan in hierdie wedstryd. Grootfontein al so 3 keer ingegooi in die lyn staan, Trent maar Rehoboth wat hom afstaan en hier kom 'n loopie daar, ook weer die bus wat bietjie vol raak daar. Nou is dit die haker wat hom met Barricotse, man wat die diskant roep, maar hulle speel na die oorkant toe, daar's weer Oganga, die 8ste man, baie naby, is in die 5 meter sone. Dek wat met die fop aangee daar omdraf. En is die eerste 5 punte, eerste 3 van hierdie wedstryd wat behoort aan die tuisspan Grootfontein. En is Christopher Dek wat afrond. Manne wat hom geluk wens ook. Kans om nog 3 by te voeg nou. Dit sal die telling laat aanskuif na 10 punte vir die tuisspan. Skop wat wag. Lekker cool wyntjie wat nou begin waai, hier op die Grammie Brand Stadion. Hier as 2 verdoelde 3 om hierdie wedstryd te wen. Minstens nog 'n strafskop daarbey. So, dit is 'n groot uitdaging. Kom ons kyk, hierdie skram mooi van haar bo afgeneem deur die hommeltuig. Manne wat egter weer gaan moet opstaan, baie van hierdie skrams wat maar gesukkel het vandag. Weer bietjie sonniger hier in Grootfontein.
Ja, so op die oog af lyk dit daarom nog nie. Nou as 'n mens moet sê of dit lyk of dit gaan reën aan die eerste span se wedstryd, dalk 'n bietjie later.
Ja, maar Andrew, baie ouens sê nou jy moet sê dit lyk of dit nie gaan reën nie, want dan gaan dit kom reën. Kyk, is soos die teenoorgestelde wat gaan gebeur. Reën is altyd lekker, maar ja, dit lyk nie so op hierdie stadium nie. Dalk later vanaand weer 'n bietjie reën gaan hy. Tref hom, hy's laag, maar hy's oor. So die 2 punte kom by nou en 'n baie gemaklike voorsprong hier kort voor die eindvletjie nou vir Rehoboth. Eerste helfte so 'n bietjie gesukkel het, maar die tweede helfte.
So that was the Reserve League clash. Rehoboth taking on Grootfontein, and Rehoboth with a very strong out in there. Like we said, Manfred Karweb, 3 tries, 3 conversions. I mean, I don't know what his contractual incentives are,
but I mean,
it's a good weekend for him. And of
you
course,
know, he was a man on a mission today.
Man on a mission,
Yeah.
particularly. I mean, you are in Grootfontein. You traveled all the way from Rehoboth. We are wondering if fatigue is going to be a factor, it seemed, for this particular Rehoboth squad, which is the Rehoboth Reserves. They managed to not succumb, but to, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word when you get over something?
Overcome.
There we go. Overcome. When you have so many words floating around, you sometimes get them mixed up. But yeah, they managed to overcome what could have been a much more difficult game playing in Grootfontein, which is what we saw, obviously, with the Premier League. Let's go through the Premier League results. So, yikes. Interesting one. Dolphin Sport Club, 0, and UNAM 46.
Whew.
Dolphin, look, we're getting going, we're getting it started. It's just been 1 or 2 games into the season. UNAM is a very experienced side.
I mean, it definitely has to be discouraging, but then again, I feel like every game there's a takeaway, right?
Yeah, there is a takeaway.
There's definitely a takeaway. You find out, okay, this was the weakness, the main weakness.
Absolutely. There's something to learn.
There's something to learn,
yes.
definitely, and how you can go about it, maybe even just the restructuring.
If necessary,
if needed.
yeah. Because the other thing is, I mean, you don't know if it's Premier League jitters, the game's just started, and also you're facing UNAM, who beat Wanderers, who won the last Premier League. So, UNAM is in top form, and our Dolphins haven't quite reached that form yet. So is it too soon, perhaps, to start making significant changes? Or is this the only time you can make significant changes before it's too late?
I would say it's definitely a little too soon. Like you're saying, we're just starting.
See how it
still
goes. See how it
feeling
goes.
out.
Yes. It is a hefty scoreline, but
Yes.
46-0 means there's a lot of work to do. All the work to do. In Latin, they say "tot facienda parum factum,"
Oh.
which is so little done, so much to do. Now, FNB Kudus, they got the best of Trusco United, and this was at the coast. Erongo Sports was covering that one. FNB Kudus 17, Trusco United 1. 8. FNB Kudus will certainly be happy with that, taking advantage of the home ground over there. And Grootfontein also managing to do the same. We were watching that game just before we crossed over to studio. Grootfontein 16, Rehoboth 8. Full time, that try was scored right in the nick of time. We call that a dagger. You know what I mean? A dagger is the small little knife that, you know, during a sword fight, don't ask me why I care about sword fights. If a dagger is put in your abdomen, you're sure to lose, regardless of how it all goes. And that dagger came from Grootfontein, and it came right on time. And you'll be able to see the highlights from the Premier League games when we get into the wrap-up show from 6:30 p.m. So don't miss that. But for now, we'll take a short break before we go globe trotting.
Hallo Namibia, ons is by die kus en ons is lus.
Terwyl by die Easter Shark.
Okay. Okay, so yes. Please, today you make sure that we are fed. Sorry, ek as
All right, it's time for us to go globe trotting. We are still going to be bringing you more local sports news before we, call it a day. That's why it's called the wrap-up show. You start local, you end local. That's how we do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Formula One, the folks were racing earlier today. It was about figuring out the pole positions. We saw Verstappen taking the pole at the Japan GP. Very expected. Now, Lewis Hamilton expressed his satisfaction. That does not happen a lot. He expressed his satisfaction with the notable improvement in his comfort level over the weekend, highlighting the stark contrast from previous experiences. Now, following Mercedes' reduction of their deficit to Suzuka pole compared to the 2023 race, Hamilton voiced optimism about the team's prospects moving forward with their inconsistent 2024 car. You're looking at the polls right there. Now, despite Hamilton securing the 7th qualifying position and George Russell the 9th for Sunday's Suzuka race, the team found encouragement in the enhanced handling of W15. Notably, their deficit to pole position was nearly halved compared to the previous year's performance at the high-speed track, where they trailed Red Bull by a full second. All right.
Hamilton hasn't been having a great time as of late.
Yeah, well, as of late, we know, he's signed the deal with Ferrari. We know that's where he's going after Mercedes. But with regards to Mercedes, as of late is an understatement. For a while, they've been having issues. It's been surrounding the car. There've been unnecessary drama behind the scenes. And so, like I said, when I read that he express satisfaction. I was like, Lewis? The Lewis that we know. He's usually not quite the chippy fella when it comes to, his car and particularly his comfort, which has been a big issue in all of this.
I think he's definitely starting to come to terms with certain things, I would say.
Yeah.
And well, he's definitely looking forward to his future. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much this season is going to, bear on him. Is he going to feel the obligation to really give his all? Possibly, the last one. Look, he joined Mercedes. His inspiration, my favorite Formula One driver of all time, Ayrton Senna, rest in peace, was a Mercedes driver. So I know Lewis was chasing that legacy, but now it seems like he's chosen another legacy, and that's one of Michael Schumacher's to chase at Ferrari. And we'll see how he applies himself at Mercedes. But it's very weird. It's very weird for the world to know your next employer while you're still with the other one. It's like, yeah, okay.
Hey, I mean, he's got to do what he's got to do.
He's got to do what he's got to do.
So we will, again, be monitoring and seeing,
absolutely,
any improvements, any news from his side as well. And like you were saying, it's obviously to keep an eye out and see if he will still give it his all.
If you'll
this season,
apply
yeah.
himself the
If
same
you'll
way.
apply them,
yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, moving over to someone who is actually criticizing his teammates.
So no satisfaction here.
No satisfaction whatsoever. Benzema criticizes Al Ittihad teammates amidst drought. Benzema's performance in Saudi Arabia hasn't matched his achievements during his final years at Real Madrid, where he earned recognition as the best player globally. Despite being a former Ballon d'Or winner, Benzema attributes his current struggles not to his own form, but guess what? To the lack of support from his teammates. He has scored 9 goals this season, a significant difference from his former Real Madrid teammate Cristiano Ronaldo, who has scored 20 more goals at Al Nassr. When questioned by Action with Walid about his performance compared to his time at Real Madrid, Benzema chuckled and explained, "It's because it's not the same game, it's not the same players. I need to be helped. I need help on the pitch. I can't win the game alone. I need a lot of things." While it's widely acknowledged that the teams Benzema played in at Real Madrid was stronger than his current Al Ittihad side, many argued that this shouldn't excuse his struggles. His challenging period in Saudi Arabia has reportedly included missed training sessions and persistent rumors linking him with a return to Europe. This recent statement may further complicate his efforts to foster a winning atmosphere in the dressing room. So, what's next for the Frenchman? Despite previously dismissing rumors of discontent in Saudi Arabia, Benzema's perspective might change by summer. If he desires to play alongside better teammates, he could consider leaving Al Ittihad unless the club invests in acquiring notable players once again.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on, Karim Benzema. I mean, you're missing practices. You're over 20 goals behind Cristiano, who, fair enough, got, settled in before everybody else. He essentially started the whole movement there. But, all this pinpointing, and then I want different players. Who did you think you're going to play with when you're going to Saudi Arabia?
Exactly.
I mean, you're coming from Madrid. It's not like Lionel Messi is complaining in Miami. Miami is losing. Lionel Messi is not used to losing. You know what I mean? But Miami has been having some tough games. Yes, he has been injured. But even the greatest of all time, arguably, is not complaining about his teammates. And I mean, are Americans better football players than the Saudi Arabia League? I don't know. I know Saudi Arabia's got bigger names
right now. Yes.
America's got a lot of up-and-coming players, especially their national team. Their women's team is spectacular. It has been for a very long time. But, I mean, come on. You're having issues with your teammates. You're not showing up to practice, so you blame your teammates.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, to me, it's coming across as very much spoiled brat.
Yeah.
Crybaby.
And
like,
he's also trying to leave. This
Yes.
sounds like he's
looking
if you're
for an
going to say,
excuse.
he's looking for an excuse, because without a doubt that that's going to create a rift when it comes to team chemistry. It's not going to be possible to sustain that.
Yes.
And I wonder how that's going to work out for him, because, is there still a space for him in a top flight club? I have no doubt.
And you know what, sorry to cut you off there, but this whole thing is reminding me, it's very reminiscent of Neymar, Mbappe, that whole struggle, the dynamic.
There's a dynamic. But, very rarely did they outright come and blame their teammates.
Exactly.
They might blame the transfers, they might have issues with the management, but to blame your teammates, you're Karim Benzema, you're a Ballon d'Or winner, you have every accolade possible. I don't see why you wouldn't take responsibility for your part in it. I'm not saying nothing wrong has happened to him. I don't know what's wrong that's happened to him, because he looks just displeased. He's just like, I don't like being Saudi. He's just unhappy. And I don't think it's an environment thing. Saudi Arabia is a largely Muslim country. He is a Muslim believer. I don't believe there'll be much friction with regards to lifestyle, that kind of thing.
But I mean, like you said, he was so used to playing with big names. He was getting the competition that he needed. So I feel like now being in Saudi Arabia, he doesn't feel like he's growing much. Not that he has too much growing to do. I mean, he's Karim Benzema. He's a Ballon d'Or winner. He's done and achieved so much. So at this point, I feel like it's almost as though looking to retire happy.
Yeah, but it's a cop-out, because you have to just admit, perhaps for you, look, it worked out for Cristiano, but perhaps for you in particular, Karim Benzema, it was a bad decision. You got to own that. And that's what it looks like. Because even if it is the teammates, there's no way those names appeared from nowhere on those contracts in the changing rooms. These are people you'd have known and you would have had some understanding of the trajectory, at least your agent would have. And so to now be like, oh, I blame you guys while you're not producing, while you're not making it to training, just means you regret your decision. And that's something that happens. Now, someone who's not regretting their transfer, they're not a player, but they are a coach, is Alonso. My goodness, Leverkusen. I left the game. We'll check out the Bundesliga just now, but let's talk about him first. Xabi Alonso cautioned against premature Bundesliga title talk despite a 13-point lead, which I believe has been extended. He emphasized focusing on upcoming matches and avoiding complacency. Now, Leverkusen could secure their first ever title next week, pending results against Bayern Munich. Now, Alonso expressed that unpredictability of football and the need for concentration. Now, despite their remarkable season, including a German Cup final qualification, Alonso urged patience and preparation, recalling past disappointments. Now, Leverkusen plays Union Berlin. In fact, they just played Union Berlin. Let's have a look at those results. Wait a minute. Before I even talk, Bayern Munich lost.
Bayern Munich lost. I mean, so they were leading in the first half, but Heidenheim quickly turned it around in the second half with a 79th minute goal from Tim Clayton-Heist, denying Bayern a win.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's looking tense for Bayern. As an Arsenal guy, I find it hard not to blame Harry Kane. I'm just saying, you know, Tottenham, that spirit goes, it keeps going. But let's bring back the results. I just want to have a look at the other results. You see, we're talking SC Freiburg 1, RP Leipzig 4. Now, Bayern Leverkusen 1-0 against Union Berlin. There's a chance Union Berlin would have been able to put up a much braver fight against Leverkusen. It was a strong one, in fact, because that red card was from the first half. But managing to be one man down and just keeping it to then one goal, which came from a penalty, is something that they will absolutely be proud of. That is, wow. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Because Leverkusen, by the way, has not lost a single game in the Bundesliga. Like, not one, they're like zero.
Yeah,
And
so just to, you know, add on to that, this is actually the first time they're reaching match day 28 without a loss. The last time this happened was, I think, back in 2009, in the 2009-2010 season, when they only managed to get to match day 24. And then after that, of course, we saw them losing and whatnot. But this is the first time they're getting to match day 28 unbeaten.
And if everything goes their way, and it seems like it already is, it looks like by next week there's a chance Leverkusen will have the title. Like you said, Xabi Alonso, like you said, he's trying not to jump the gun, but it's hard not to be excited. I mean, you're basically creating an Invincibles, you know what I mean? Of course, Invincibles in Germany is not the same in England. We'll have that conversation later. But if you need to, you know, be enlightened, it's a little different. But considering Bayern Munich's dominance, this is one incredible run, and Bayern Munich's loss today, they are going to be reeling off of that one. Now, before we talk English Premier League, and we've got quite a bit of that, you know, to talk about, we're going to take a short break before we talk about the folks who are up for Ballon d'Or and how that's stacking up. All right, we're about a quarter of an hour away from the wrap-up show where we're going to make sure we let you know all the weekend sports that have been happening, including what we'll be looking forward to tomorrow. But for now, let's talk about Ballon d'Or, the most prestigious individual award in the footballing world. Now, for the first time, the top names aren't the top names.
Not
for
what
a long
we expected.
time, we knew that Ballon d'Or was between two people.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing folks like Phil Foden, 23-year-old star from Manchester City, is currently experiencing the peak of his career, showcased by his hat-trick against Aston Villa on Wednesday, which brought his total goals for the season to 21. Now, Betfair's odds place Foden as the sixth favourite to claim football's most prestigious individual award. However, there are currently two England players and one other City player with better odds. Jude Bellingham leads the pack as the current favourite with odds of 10-3. His exceptional performance since joining Madrid in the summer, 20 goals in 32 games, made him a logical choice. Now PSG's Kylian Mbappe follows closely behind as the second favourite at 7-2, while Harry Kane, who has been prolific for Bayern Munich this season, not today, ranks third with odds of 4-1. Now Erling Haaland holds the fourth position, this is a little surprising, on the list with odds of 5-1, while last year's victor Lionel Messi follows closely behind at fifth, and Phil Foden is after Lionel Messi, just ahead of his teammate Rodri.
Like you said, these are not the names that we were seeing before, but also I don't think it's surprising to see Haaland where he is, because
Yes, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. He
talk
hasn't
about it.
actually had a really great season. Most of his goals were coming from assists.
In fact, that's always.
you
Kevin De
know.
Bruyne is there, he makes it happen.
He makes it happen.
Haaland is an incredible striker.
Yes.
But the Manchester City works best for him.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester City's system works best for him. And now we're seeing that other players crop up. But for me, the most telltale signs, and yes, of course, I'm going to prop up Arsenal, Haaland, not a single shot at goal against William Saliba this season. You know what I mean? A losing record against Arsenal, Manchester City, and Haaland would have normally been that difference maker, because he generally is. And as you can see right now, I think it works for Manchester City. I think Haaland was what they needed to win the treble.
Definitely,
And
yeah.
The teams adapt. As you know, Arsenal can safely say whenever they see Haaland, there's no reason to panic. You know what I mean? So teams adapt. But now they're fortunate. You see, Phil Foden props up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They
And
have a great dynamic
they have
going
a great
on right
dynamic,
now. Yes.
and Captain Kevin De Bruyne.
Oh, what a brilliant man. What a brilliant man. Even just from today's game.
Yeah.
Oh, my
But I have a
goodness.
question. Why is Lionel Messi still... You know what I mean? Why is he still in the running for Ballon d'Or? I mean, yes, he's playing in the United States. I've been watching his game, but I'm sorry, productivity-wise, he's not in the top 5 in the world right now. It's a little shocking for me to see.
Yes, I mean, like you said earlier on, it's not like the Americans play football that well.
They
play
amongst
well.
themselves, you know, they're doing what they can.
They're doing what they can, but then, you know, compared to, you know, the
To people who don't
Bundesliga,
call
the
it
Premier
soccer.
League, all of that. Yeah, that as
Yeah.
well.
The standard is different, yeah.
It is actually quite surprising to see him here. But then again, it just goes back again to that whole debate of greatest of all time and whatever. The fact that he is still appearing even
He's
now.
still, yeah, and it's
He's
hard to
still
get
there.
rid of him.
It's hard to
and
get rid of
perhaps
him.
it's kind of, I mean, you look at the NBA, like LeBron James. I mean, the guy's, 38 years old now.
see?
And he's one of the top 5 scorers in the league right now. So it's hard to get rid of him. I just feel like, you know, it might be a time to give more nods to the folks who are playing in different leagues. I like the folks like Mohamed Kudus, you know what I mean? Brilliant season coming from the West Ham man. Of course, West Ham will want to forget that 5-0 loss to Arsenal. But we just spoke about Kevin De Bruyne, right?
Speaking of, actually, today, after
Today.
their remarkable performance, he scored his 100th goal for Manchester City. Now, this win, which brought them level on points with leaders Liverpool, showcased the prowess of the Premier League defending champions.
Yes, Kevin De Bruyne struck twice to inspire Manchester City to a dominant 4-2 win at Crystal Palace. Now, stunned by conceding an early goal scored by Palace striker Jean-Philippe Mateta, De Bruyne equalized with a superb shot. And after second half goals by Rico Lewis and Erling Haaland, the Belgian midfielder added his second. It's just like every other title race. We have to win every game, the 19-year-old Lewis told TNT Sports. There's 3 teams in it, and we have to be the strongest team. Now, Odson Edward grabbed a late consolation for the hosts, but with 7 games remaining, City are level on 70 points with Liverpool and 2 ahead of Arsenal, although both their title rivals have a game in hand. Now, Mateta had shocked the travelling City supporters with a goal in the 3rd minute, but De Bruyne, who along with Haaland was rested for Wednesday's 4-1 win over Aston Villa, levelled in the 13th minute with an inch-perfect finish that had manager Pep Guardiola blowing the Belgian kisses. Of course, Pep would.
It was an interesting game. It was one of those games where, of course, in the first half we saw City with more possession. At some point in that first half, they had 91% possession.
Yeah, I mean, we expected that.
We expected
but
that.
I won't lie. And this is the thing about title races. Title races make you have faith in unlikely teams. I remember when Sheffield scored against Liverpool during the week, and I was like, Sheffield, can you do this for me? Sheffield
I mean, you were screaming today, Palace,
Crystal
do something
Palace,
for
can
me.
you do something for me? No, and that's just what it is. And you know, earlier in the morning we were talking about Klopp being asked whether or not Liverpool has to be perfect. There's your answer.
They definitely have
You
to be. They
absolutely
cannot
have to be
afford
perfect
any
to-
slip-ups
any slip-ups, yes.
tomorrow, because now we're seeing with the points,
Yes.
City and Liverpool are now tied.
They are tied,
at
and we'll
points.
see how it goes as other games come through.
Yeah,
but let's
but-
have a look at the table and see what it looks like right now. All right, so as we said, as we expect, at the top of the English Premier League table, it's not here actually, we don't have the table, that's fair and fine. Let's look at the results. But at the top of the table, as we know, 70 points square is Liverpool and Manchester City. Arsenal on 68 points. Arsenal will have a game today. But these are the rest of the results from the English Premier League. Manchester City 4, Crystal Palace 2, Aston Villa 3, Brentford 3. Wow, high scoring game over there. Everton 1-0 over Burnley, who had a red card. Fulham at home losing 1-0 to Newcastle. Luton Town getting that victory they've been itching and scratching for against Bournemouth with a 2-1 win. Wolves usually very strong at home. You know, everybody says when you travel to Wolves at home, you're basically traveling to Real Madrid. That was not the case for West Ham. 2-1 was that result, and then, you know, Arsenal will be playing Brighton, and we'll see how that one transpires. But with regards to Manchester City, Liverpool and Arsenal, it's going to be a cracker. But tomorrow we will talk about this. Actually, stay with us at the end of our wrap-up show, our Sunday drop. We're going to break down what to expect between Manchester United and Liverpool, because the pressure is on. The pressure is
on. And honestly speaking, if by some miracle Manchester United, because right now, let's be honest, the odds are not looking too great for Manchester United. The predictions that Liverpool will win 3-1. And if by some miracle Manchester United manages to win, then Liverpool does not deserve to be in the run.
You feel so?
I definitely
I mean, but
feel
they're
so.
losing to Manchester United. Okay, you know, we'll get into Manchester United and Liverpool. Let's look at that table that we were talking about. Okay, so sitting at the top, Manchester City and Liverpool at 70 points. Arsenal closely behind with 68 points. 8 points below Arsenal is Aston Villa on 60. Tottenham Hotspur, 57 points. Both Manchester United and West Ham United have 48 points. Newcastle on 47. Brighton and Chelsea on 43 points each. I am not used to seeing Chelsea right there, but I've got a feeling Chelsea is getting used to seeing themselves right there.
I think so.
Yeah, I remember having a bit of a discussion with my Chelsea friend, and you know, he was telling me that, you know, Arsenal used to be bad. Arsenal has, you know, a history. And he goes, you know, I don't trust Arsenal in the Champions League. I don't trust Arsenal in the title race. And I'm like, that's great, but if we're talking about the past, you'd have been in the top 4 with us. So
True.
perhaps, you know, try focus on catching West Ham, focus on catching Manchester United. Small steps, small steps. Of course, we did watch the game, Chelsea versus Manchester United. Huge scoring game. Chelsea managing to score 2 goals. 2 goals.
Yes.
In a minute.
Yes.
Yes. But you are scoring against a team that regularly concedes towards the end of the game. Cole Palmer is an incredible player. Incredible player. He did what had to be done. But if we're to be honest about the quality of football,
Yes.
it was the battle of mediocrity, in my opinion. Now, this is not to say that, you know, my team in particular has been playing well. I don't have to say it, you know it. But what I am saying is that the standard that these teams are playing at is not the standard they
That
want
they
to be
can-
playing
yeah.
at. You know, of course, you saw Chelsea celebrating. Chelsea celebrated like they won the league. And they've won the league enough for us to actually know what it looks like when they're
When they win the
celebrating like
league, yeah.
they won the league. But it was also that sigh of relief. And the first step right now, I feel, for Chelsea and Manchester United is to look in front and be like, okay, this is who we are. This is where we are. This is what we have to offer. And because they seemingly do not know that, they're currently not in the title race. And it's looking very thin with regards to, perhaps Champions League appearances. But that's another foregone
Honestly
conclusion,
speaking,
honestly.
right now, I would say at some point we really weren't expecting Liverpool to be at the top of the table, but they did manage to surprise us. And now again we are like this, Manchester City and Liverpool going head to head for it.
Oh, and Arsenal.
And Arsenal,
Yes, yes.
that too.
Yes.
But then I think what we've seen this season really is that everything can happen.
Anything
Chelsea
can happen.
not having a particularly great time as of late. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, look, you change managers as often as they have to. The Russia-Ukraine war starts, and then sanctions are placed. Ibrahimovic? I'm forgetting his name. No, I'm thinking about Zlatan. Long live Zlatan. But the Chelsea owner has to sell. A lot of restructuring has to happen. And, they did a lot of firing, a lot of bad contracts. There's people with 8-year contracts at Chelsea. A lot of bad business happened. There isn't a team that spent more than Chelsea. And if you look at what that has meant for the team, it's not the standard that we're used to. And make no mistake, we want Chelsea to compete. We want Manchester United to compete. You know what I mean? Because that's what keeps the English Premier League alive.
English Premier League,
exactly.
yes,
But
yes.
what I have to say, what I have to respect is that Chelsea and Manchester United gave us competition when they met. There's still this thing where we say it's a rivalry. We might be having an average time, an average season, but when we meet, we're going to give you all we have. And that was essentially the case when it came to Manchester United against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And that's what I anticipated it will be tomorrow. Tomorrow's at Old Trafford. We'll talk more about that. But what I wanted to ask from you is some bravery. Give me a prediction. Who wins the Premier League this season?
Jeez, whew. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to put my money on City. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put my money on City. But again, like I'm saying, we're seeing that it's very unpredictable right now with the Premier League.
Yes.
Because Liverpool has so much to defend, but then also City is playing with the intention of beating Liverpool.
Yes.
So everyone is playing with
And I
the
should just tell you,
stakes in mind.
there's only one team that has a winning record against both teams. There's only one coach that has beaten Pep Guardiola and Klopp in the season. In history, it's never happened until Mikel Arteta. And so I see City, I see Liverpool. Arsenal has not lost a game this season. Arsenal was at City. There was no goals. It didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal's going to win, but the way I see it, if it's not Arsenal, it's Liverpool.
Okay.
I see Manchester City, they're doing good, but the post-winning fatigue feels like it's kicking in.
Okay.
Liverpool has got that extra chemistry. It's the last Klopp season. And sometimes the Premier League, it's about the perfect story. However, if you remember the Aguero goal, Manchester City usually has a lot to say about perfect stories. We're going to come back with the wrap-up show to let you know the sports happening in Namibia just before we wrap up with the... What's it called now? Sunday drop.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindel Kahana.
Sy sê wie is er aan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is
But just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Right, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one. Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
All right, it's time for us to get into the wrap-up show, and there is some good news for arguably one of Namibia's greatest athletes, but we're going to tell you the backstory. In April 2023, World Athletics banned Namibia's standout athlete Christine Mboma from competition due to elevated testosterone levels. They mandated that female athletes with naturally high testosterone levels must lower it. However, by November 2023, World Athletics permitted Mboma to participate in the 100-meter and 200-meter events, but barred her from her preferred races. Since then, Mboma and her coach Bota have been diligently training for the upcoming 2024 athletics season. Now, the latest update is that the Olympics 200-meter silver medalist Christine Mboma has received clearance from World Athletics to participate in previously unrestricted events effective April 5, 2024. SportRap understands that the clearance allows her to compete in all events except those between 400 meters and 1 mile. I'll take it.
That is definitely some good news. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, we have the opportunity to have the greatest female athlete in the world, the greatest African female athlete, already the greatest Namibian female athlete. I remember watching that race in Olympics, and I couldn't stand the thought of me not seeing again because of something that she does not have control over.
Exactly.
So if we're just dealing with 200 meters,
it's still something.
We're going to do what we can do.
We're going to do what we can do. And I mean, obviously, this is good news, not just for her, but I think for Namibians in general. Because like you're saying, it was hard just to imagine a flame so bright having to be dimmed at a very early stage. Before we got to see her do everything that she can possibly do.
Absolutely.
Because this was what we saw. I feel like that was just the beginning. Like there's so much more to unpack. That was just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. So little done, so much to do. I love that saying.
I'm going to learn it one day.
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right, now getting into our next story. Today marked the beginning of the 2024 Nedbank Rock and Rut XCO series at the IJG Trails in Kleine Cooper. Riders gathered at 8 a.m. for the first age category to begin. By 10:15, the elite and under 23 women took to the trails where they had to complete 5 laps of 4.96 kilometers. This added up to a total of 24.8 kilometers. Once the ladies were done, though, the men now took to the mountain bike racing. At 11:45, the elite and under 23 men sped off to complete their 7 laps of 4.96 kilometers. Their complete race length was 34.7 kilometers. So we're going to have a look at some clips from the event, starting with junior women's category cyclist Delcia Janse van Vuren. Have a look.
3, 2, 1. Hallo julle, ek is Delcia Janse van Vuren. Ons is vandag by die Rock and Rut XCO 0. Ek het vandag junior woman gery. Ek was ongelukkig die enigste meisie wat gery het. Die baan was baie lekker. Dit was baie challenging, dit was baie warm. So ja, nee, dit was lekker. Die enigste challenge was ek het in myself gery. So ek het elke keer net my laptye gekyk en gekyk dat dit consistent is. So ja.
Hi, my name is Christian van der Westhuizen. Participated in the Rock and Rut XCO 1 under 16 category. And the highlight of my race was on lap 2, just before the finish. Came around the corner, wheel slipped and I fell, lost my glasses, stood up as quick as possible to catch the group in front of me. I was about 15 seconds behind them. Caught them in the 3rd lap and then stayed behind them, finishing like 1 second behind second position.
All right, now let's talk some Demarin Namibia Premiership football. African Stars FC left it late after beating Okahanja United 3-2 in the Demarin Namibia Premiership at the Independence Stadium. Now, while Comas Nampo FC gained a point following a 1-1 draw, which brought them to second place ahead of Ongos FC. Ongos Stad and Comas Nampo are all chasing for the title as they are separated by very small margins. That is correct. In the Namibian Demarin Premiership right now, we have a title race, and we're going to be looking forward to covering that, particularly as we get to the last races. I want to get some players, some coaches in here because there's much to anticipate. It's not just the English Premier League. Local soccer is lekker.
Local is lekker. I mean, like you're saying, title races are always so intense.
Oh, yes.
Always so intense because the drama, because no one wants to let go. Like, you know, the end is in sight. You can see it, you can grab it literally. So no one can afford to slip up, and nobody actually wants to slip up. So everybody is giving it their all, and really and truly, the tiniest mistake can cost you the title.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. So no one is going to be looking to play sloppily. So we can expect, I think, a lot of action-packed, really intense matches.
Yes, the best of the best.
The best of the best, because no one wants to let up.
No one will let up, in my opinion. I think it's really going to come down to who rose to the occasion. The highest.
The highest.
I've got a feeling everybody's going to rise to the occasion, but someone's going to stand taller, and we'll be able to figure that out in just a couple of weeks. Now, at Olympia Municipality Swimming Pool, very interesting, the Bank Windhoek National Long Course Swimming Championships took place. Young swimmers also shared their enthusiasm in a couple of interviews, and they were talking about how the tournament has been for them thus far. Now, Sunday, tomorrow, is the last day of this 3-day swimming championship, and there will be swimmers competing in the finals and, of course, receiving their medals. Let's check out some interviews and clips from the swimming championships.
My name is Soraya Ashikoto, and I swim for Marlins Aquatic Club, and my main stroke is butterfly.
My name is Rose van Veek. I swim for Marlins Aquatic Club, and my main stroke is breaststroke.
I think my best day was yesterday because I got a medal for butterfly and I improved on my time greatly.
I feel like today has been the best day because I did very well in the 50 breaststroke and I improved by 2 seconds, and I'm going to get a gold for that.
Vicky, if you're able to join us for your first place medal, very well done, girls. Give them a round of applause, please. They've worked very hard for these medals. Then the 11 to 12-year-old age group, boys and girls. Boys in first place, Riley Bag.
My name is Julius Shanika. I swim for Oraniemund St. Sharks. We come all the way from Oraniemund. I'm 14 years old. My favorite swimming stroke is backstroke because it's my fastest. My highlights the highlights for this gala was seeing my Namibian inspirations such as Patrick and Oliver Durant, Lorenzo Esterhuizen, Nathan Bock. I'm looking forward to swimming the 50-meter freestyle where I'm aiming to reach my goal of 30 to 29 seconds.
100 meters backstroke, Jinyu Kyong, Sophia Glenn Spyron and Jade McNamara. Please join me here.
Now, as you saw, NTV was covering the rugby in Rongo and in Grootfontein. Some very exciting clashes happened. It was the FNB Kudus playing against Trusco United. That game was 17 for Kudus, 8 for Trusco United. And here are some highlights from this cracker.
vat United door die veld. United 1 vat door die veld. Die manne lyk lus vir rugby vandag. Net so vir 'n oomblik buite skerm kon ek sien dat Kudus Justin Newman het dan ook opgedag. So hy sal hier op die plaasvervangersbankie wees. En ja, so die manne is meer as gereed en die manne is reg. Kom ons kyk, hierdie wedstryd beloof om lekker in te gaan. Eerste strooitjie trek om hierdie bal af te skop. Kom ons kyk. Sê, gaan hulle
plek en dan Wanderers in die 5de posisie, Falcons in die 6de posisie, United 7de en dan Suburbs.
Die kinders doen goed.
Daar sê Plato gaan weer skop.
Lê daar aan palle toe. So
derde poging na die palle toe.
Ja.
1-oor-1 mis. En hierdie ene is
tussen die palle deur.
Middeldeur Donovan.
Hy's tussen die palle deur. Hy sny die twee dwarslatte. En ja, dit is dan 6 punte.
Byvoeg 3 punte.
Ja, kom ons kyk wat maak hy. Treffer met sy regtervoet, wat maak hy? Ja, hy's tussen die palle deur. En is 9 punte daarna vir Kudus. En 3 punte daarna vir United. Gebied van United. United moet keer, United moet keer. United moet hierdie hele keer. United gaan hom. En daar dryf Kudus, daar dryf hulle. En daar gaan hulle oor. En dis 'n 3 daar.
Eerste 3 van die wedstryd Donovan.
Treffer met sy regtervoet, wat maak hy? Ja, is tussen die palle deur. 17 punte daar vir Kudus Oudtshoorn.
Gaping raak nog groter Donovan.
Yes. Dis wat ek gesê het wat United moes gedoen. Bal is nog steeds beskikbaar en hy gaan hier in die agterlyn af. En daar word 'n onderskepping. Daar's onderskepping en daar jaag hulle hom. En hulle jaag hom. Nee, hulle gaan hom nie kry nie. Hulle gaan hom definitief nie kry nie. En daar sit United hom neer.
Enrico van Sail. Wat kan ons daar verwag?
Okay, so teen Dolphins definitief gaan ons hulle nie onderskat nie. Ons gaan opdag met 'n volle span en ek sal sê jy kan lekker skoon, goeie, gesonde rugby hier by die kus verwag.
Baie dankie Cameron. Kaptein, hoe voel jy?
Sorry. Ja, kan nie klaar nie. Dit was 'n harde wedstryd geweest. Ons het geweet ons hier opgedaag het. Kudus gaan nie terugstaan nie. It has been everything we expected and more. Congrats to them. They brought it to us today.
But you really stood your ground.
Yeah, no, I can't fault my team. I don't think we gave everything we had, but it was a good performance. We'll go back on Monday. We'll regather. New week, new challenges.
Who are you up to next?
I think next is Western Suburbs, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be a tough game as well. I also think it's an away game. Never easy in the Premier League. But again, we're going to go back to the drawing board, regather, new plan, new day.
Yes. What do you take away from this game?
Every day you learn something new, eh? I think today we learned that every performance is 80 minutes long, not 70, not 75, not 40 minutes. I think if we can take pieces from our 80 minutes here today and make that an 80-minute performance, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, safe travels, Captain. Thank you.
Good outing there for FNB Kudus, playing against Trusco United at home. You want to be able to make sure that you bag those wins, you know, without a doubt. But the big game of the day, the main game of the day, I mean, was it? No, both games are the main games. Both games are the main games. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. But one of the other main games was Grootfontein playing against Rehoboth. It got right to the last minute for us to have a decisive winner, which was Grootfontein at 16, Rehoboth with 8 points. This is how the rugby game went.
Daai wedstryd was op Rehoboth gewees. So hierso kom Rehoboth se Jacobs wat sy span op die veld lei, FNB Grootfontein. Dit laat af na week gehad. So die twee spanne wat by hulle verby geskuif het, is die twee wat al twee spanne op die vinnig kyk. Nee, hulle het 6. Rehoboth het 6 punte.
As we nou Reebok wat vorentoe kom, 14 met hom aangee vir sy shot daar so Frederico wat na die pale loer, kyk af na die bal, kom hy vorentoe, hy tref hom, dit lyk goed. Dit lyk goed, hy hoog op, maar hy is oor die pale, is hy daar na by die doellyn aan die oorkant ook gekeer. Nadat 'n fout aan die diskant was, maar hy voeg nou die 5 punte by, is 'n 2 punte voorsprong nou vir Reebok in die 18de minuut van die wedstryd. Vorentoe kort aanloop. Ons kyk wat maak hy met 3-1. Nee, sê die assistente. So dit bly 5 om, maar die punte is daar. 6 punte nou vir Grootfontein. Ek is weer terug om op te tel. Dan so 2 aftrappe daar. My man vorentoe, hy's nog in die lug daar so. Die bal wat wild rondbons. Uiteindelik tog in die hande van Reebok. As Anton beheer. Die aangee wat net die kop, hulle vind nie die lyn nie. Dis Grootfontein, AJ Verkuil. Maar hy is daar, as hy in die hande van Pieter Dan Kok. Reebok kom nou met 'n teendryf hoog om die nek, word daar die trei teruggepluk. My plaas tog die bal, so Grootfontein wat hom kan uithaal daar, goed in die hande gekry, goeie loopie vorentoe daar. Bal mooi beskikbaar gestel ook weer, en is nou die groot manne wat hulle gebruik. Is die krag daar, en die krag is daar. 2 voorry manne daar, is dit Beddies of was dit Tron?
Barend Beddies, dink ek.
Buite toe aangee, en dan is hy nommer 21, Shaquille January, en dan is hulle Julian Bekes wat die bal dra, gee hom aan buitekant toe, goeie verdediging deur Grootfontein, is die buitesenter Dentliker bal in hand gehad, Grootfontein.
Ek kan nie glo dat hulle nie gaan vir die lyn staan om die wedstryd te probeer wen met 'n 3 nie. Hulle het 'n 3 nodig.
Ja, hulle sit hom tog oor daar so, Andrew. Eder Bush nou weer daar aan die oorkant, bring hom terug. Speel so Bourgeois 'n bietjie agteruit daar vir 'n oomblik of wat, en dan is daar 'n goeie nie hy nie.
Ja, dit was man, ja, met die 22, ja, dit was hy wat daar op die loopie gegaan het, die uitlaai.
Ja, as hy in die 8ste man Reis Veresane, hy het nog steeds die bal in hand.
Op die horlosie.
Ek wil amper sê Grootfontein nou hier wys baie meer.
Omtrent 10 minute en omtrent 90 minute op die horlosie.
Ek wil amper sê Grootfontein nou hier wys baie meer mag en mening as grootste deel van hierdie wedstryd. Is Joseph daar, nou hy het baie spoed aan die oorkant. En hy sê ek het die spoed hierso, en hy hardloop en hy duik oor. Is laat by jou daar by die huis, en dis vreugdevuure wat aangesteek gaan word as hulle
Now that
was action. Like you were saying, it was to the last minute.
To the last minute. You cannot miss rugby on NTV. I'm telling you this. I mean, look at those moments. And because it's happening in Namibia, only you have those moments. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not like all of our favorite, sports moments from rugby where we shared them. It was Bobby Skinstad. It was Brayton Paulsa. You know what I mean? But now you've got locals. You know what I mean? It's Tangeni. He lives next door, and look at him doing his thing.
Yeah, I think the game was definitely an interesting one to watch.
Yes.
You were definitely very invested to the dying minutes. You
To
were
the
just there
dying
like,
minutes.
what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, so I think, honestly speaking, that's what matches should be about.
It's always about that. You know,
It's always
it's
about
supposed
that.
to be about that.
Exactly.
Especially when we're trying to see the best of the best. You know,
Yes.
the guys have to take each other to the wire. But let's see what this means for the log. All right, so looking at the log, FNB UNAM has ascended to the top, and after playing 3 games, followed by FNB Grootfontein, who did win today along with Wanderers, but obviously not enough to take them to the top. UNAM raking in those bonus points, particularly with those tries. So UNAM won at the top, followed by FNB Grootfontein, followed by FNB Wanderers. Sitting on 4th is FNB Kudus, and FNB Rehoboth with a loss today. They'll certainly be hoping to turn that around. Are on 5th. At 6th is FNB Rio Falcon. Trusco United at 7th, and FNB Western Suburbs are sitting on 8th. So that's how the log looks right now. Of course, it's just 3 games into the season. Things change.
Things change. A lot can happen. There's a lot of time to turn things around.
A lot of time to turn things around.
And a lot of time to maintain as well. Because it's not just about turning it around. Like once you're at the top, you wouldn't want to slip up, because we've seen, you know, history has proven that usually once you slip up, it's kind of hard to bring yourself back up.
And you know, it's good that you brought that up, because after the break, we're going to be talking Manchester United versus Liverpool in the Sunday drop.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
So of course, this has got to be the biggest game so far. Like, everybody has been talking about this. We've been talking about it since morning. This is Liverpool, of course, versus Manchester United tomorrow. We're looking to see what's going to happen. So Premier League leaders Liverpool face one of their toughest remaining fixtures tomorrow as they travel to face a wounded Manchester United side who will be desperate to stop their bitter rivals' title bandwagon at Old Trafford. Liverpool's somewhat nervy 3-1 victory over bottom club Sheffield United on Thursday means they remain masters of their own destiny with 8 games to play. They have 70 points, 2 more than Arsenal and 3 more than remaining champions Manchester City, will be keeping a very watchful eye on events at Old Trafford. 6th place United's incredible 4-3 defeat at Chelsea on Thursday when they led until the 10th minute of stoppage time, only to concede twice, but a massive dent in their hopes of securing Champions League football next season. Defeat by Liverpool would likely extinguish that possibility altogether, so Sunday's clash is arguably almost as important for United boss Erik ten Hag as it is for Liverpool's Jurgen Klopp.
Yes, indeed. And let's have a look at the table yet again. Liverpool is sitting on top, square with Manchester City on points, 70 each. Arsenal 68. Actually, right now, Arsenal is on 69 points because it's still 0-0 at Brighton. Aston Villa behind with 60 points. Behind Aston Villa with just 3 points is Tottenham Hotspur on 57 points. Manchester United and West Ham on 48 points each. Newcastle at 47. Brighton, Hove and Chelsea 43 points each. That's how the top of the English Premier League table looks, and we're excited. I mean, Manchester United, Liverpool. I keep saying, look, we're looking at the form. I don't believe both teams are playing as well as they would like to, but you gotta look at the machinery. We're talking Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
That's not a joke,
That's
buddy.
not a joke.
That's not a joke, but you look at Mino. You look at Hollywood. They haven't really proven their mettle in the Premier League, but they can upset anyone. That's an honest opinion from someone who has less than favorable opinions about Manchester United. So this is a huge clash. And we know in the back of Manchester United's heads, right at the back here, you open the attic, you go down to the basement, you dig a hole, you open the box that's there, you open the letter, and you know they're just saying, can we finally do something that scrapes away the pain of the 8-0 loss?
Oh, geez, that 8-0 loss definitely will haunt Manchester United for eons.
But fortunately, of course, they're not going to be playing at Anfield, which is understandable. They're going to be at Old Trafford. Liverpool, everything to play for. They're square on points with Manchester City. We'll see how Arsenal does it when they're done playing against Brighton. But like Diana and I have been saying throughout this entire show, There's no other way around it. You have to win. You have to be perfect. We didn't create the standard. Pep Guardiola did. And we all just kind of have to live with it.
Exactly.
So it's been an interesting show. It's been a good show. The first Sport Wrap Saturday in studio. We spoke about everything from Formula One to rugby. We showed you rugby games in Grootfontein, in the Erongo region, making sure we bring you the latest sports news. Diana and myself are definitely going to be back next week, making sure you get the very latest from Sport Wrap and that you never skip a step. You never skip a step.
Exactly. I'm definitely excited. So please make sure you catch the Saturday Sport Wrap show next week, because we'll be here, as Ashwin said, ready to keep you entertained and keeping you updated as the day progresses.
Yes.
Not just on local sports stories, but international.
So oneup2.com, DSTV 285, GoTV 25, all our social media pages. This has been Ashwin Berry and Diana Master wrapping up the wrap-up show. See you next week.